Hey, it's Deborah Atkinson. All right, what I'm gonna do right here is show you several exercises, several core and ab exercises that are frequently displayed online. Doing anything incorrectly is gonna rush you faster to an injury than it is to a result. Let's go right to it. Crunches and sit-ups. So you know what they look like, you probably do them, but here's a crunch, right? So if I do a few of them, does that hurt? No. But where is the potential damage if you do them year after year after year? And I'm gonna take it all the way up and I'm gonna show you a full sit-up, all right? So some of you, and it's been a long time since I've done a full sit-up, so watch out. But it's something like this, right? Notice I just had to use a lot of momentum there because, again, I haven't done a lot of them, and if you would see my heels come off the floor, that would be even worse. All right, so what's happening, what's wrong with it? Number one, hands back here. If I've got my hands on my head, I'm actually potentially putting stress on my cervical spine. And when I bring my arms up, ladies, you know this, tension is stored up here anyway for us. We elevate and then we're just causing a mass of tension here instead of focusing on where we really want the tension and the strength to be put. That also, when I'm doing a small crunch, less damaging, right? And if you did a very small range of motion and actually pushed your head back into your hand, came up just an inch or two and then came down, just this range of motion where you focused on the strength between the bottom of your ribs and the top of your hips and a kiss from the dog, you would get better results with less risk. But most of us don't do it that way. And we do them to the point where we're so exhausted that we've actually kind of crunched our neck. We do so many of them, we're not actually contracting. We're going for the feel the burn. And 1980 girls wants it back, okay? So what happens when we take that and make it worse by doing a full sit-up? Well, there's a whole lot more pressure here on your lumbar spine, especially for those of you who have to do what I just did, a little momentum. Here's the other error that we see is this. Like I couldn't get up, so I had to raise my heels. Then you've lost the work that happens here. It gets worse the faster you try to go. And again, we've got tension up here. We've got a lot of pivoting happening at your low back. World-renowned back pain expert, Dr. Stuart McGill, will tell you that we have so many forward flexions in our lifetime in our spine. So every crunch and every sit-up we do takes us faster and faster or closer and closer on that path to an injury. And unfortunately, that's not something that you will feel happen. Usually something like a ruptured disc will happen and then it's done. You know it then, but you didn't know it the repetition before that. So what's better, right? Because we're looking for how can I do better. All right, so a couple of ideas. Number one, let's replace your crunches. What could you do? As I said, if you want to do them, you've got to do them somehow. Take your hands, take them away from your head as far as holding weight. In fact, take a cloth, hold it underneath your head and push your head back into it. And then all you're going to do is raise and lower. Notice I'm not dropping my chin to my chest. I'm actually lifting my sternum to the ceiling. I can feel the work down here and nothing else. No strain, small motion, really lots of tension. So that would be a substitute for a crunch. I'd be okay with that one, all right? If you really feel like, but I get so much benefit from those sit-ups, I'm gonna argue with you, but we'll leave that lay and I'll respect you. What I'd rather have you do is a roll back or reverse curl. So this is a Pilates move, but I'm not even gonna have you do a roll up, just back. So start here. What we wanna know is, can you scoop your tailbone underneath you and go one vertebra at a time, down and then back. You're gonna roll to the side, push yourself up and do it again. Heels stay down on the floor. Reaching forward, slowly back. So notice I can still talk. I haven't changed negatively my voice, right? It's not my breath. So if you get to this position and you're really like constricted, or you hit a speed bump and go faster, you've lost it. You don't have the core strength, so I want you to hold here. So you've got just a little support so you can always put the brakes on. So at any point, if I say stop, you should be able to stop. And if you can't, then use this little spotter for yourself. Bring it to the side and come up, because if you just come up, you're putting that strain on your lower back again, okay? Okay, so there you have it. Crunch, what else to do? Sit up, what else to do? Here's another one. Coming back, you'll see this done in the military. Do you ever remember officer and a gentleman, right? Legs up, leg lowers, and we're gonna lower the legs and bring them back up. Lower the legs and back up. However, when you see them done, they're often done a little bit faster than that. But here's the thing. If you can't maintain that lower back on the ground the entire time, it is not your business to be in that range of motion. So if you start here and your lower back is on the floor, but now it pops up, then your range of motion is here. You can go here to here and make sure that you're contracting, keeping that lower back down. It may help you to put your hands underneath your hips to push that lower back down, especially you if you have a bigger curve in that lower back, okay? Here's the other option. You put one foot down and you do that whole range of motion, but you do it with just one leg. So now you've got one foot, you've got that lower back pushed into the floor and staying there, but you're still creating some work for yourself with that one leg down. That makes it safer. Still stabilizing, still get the work, but totally safe, okay? All right, another one I really hate, okay? This one is called jackknife. Do you know what's gonna happen? So we're gonna come up, and up. Now, how extreme is that? This is one of those that if I did too many of those, they might bug me tomorrow, okay? So what can you do instead of that? What I'd like for you to do is think about a borrowed from Pilates move. So if you know Pilates, you know the teaser, right? So what we're gonna do is sit in that jackknife. We're just gonna start there, stay there, but here's the thing. Those of us who sit a lot, put your hand up, because that's all of us, your hip flexors are not gonna love this. So I want you to make sure you're stretching them potentially before you do this and after, or maybe leave this one out if you're really gripping, okay? But you come up here, you're gonna take one leg at a time, you're gonna find a spot where you're okay on your sit bones. Those of you, there's probably 2% of the population have a tailbone this will never be comfortable for, and that might be you. You may be that unicorn, okay? So know it. If it's not comfortable, don't try to make it comfortable. So you're gonna be here, or take your legs up, and then you're just gonna hold this position. So you can either hold it with your legs out here, a little bit easier, or you can hold them with it up and hold those hands and your gaze in that position. Stabilization instead of the open wide and close, because what are we opening and closing? Your lumbar spine. That gives your discs in that lumbar area an opportunity to slip. Last thing we want, okay? So you gotta substitute for that jackknife. Now you'll sometimes see that with a ball, right? So we put the ball here, we're passing the ball here, coming back, and yet it's a leg lower, right? So if your lower back pops off the floor, again, not a safe exercise. Okay. Now, hopefully I'm not shooting all of the exercises that you do. What else do I see? I see this one a lot. I'm gonna grab my exercise ball. I see this one either done on machines at the gym or on an exercise ball. And you have it's called a glute ham machine. When you see it done at the gym, and I've got to position my feet here, so I've got some kind of an anchor on the wall. Hips are on the machine, the rest of you is off, and we see back extension. So we see it with full range of motion, coming all the way up, coming down, as some people will hold on to a weight. Even worse for your lower back. The faster you go, the faster you're going to injury. There's just too much going on. So it's always time under tension for any exercise that you do. So we want to extend. I'm just going to get a little bit more in alignment in a straight line here. So ideally, shorten that range of motion so you don't come all the way down and hang over where the spine here and that lumbar spine is wide open. You come down, hands back, and you start with this. Nice and slow, and lift. Just nice and easy and slow. And you're still using your core through the back, through the front, but much safer. Now, if I want to make it more challenging, I'm going to take the arms up because that made it a little bit more, and I'm sorry, I'm having trouble balancing here, and you will too, potentially. You can take the arms up, but this puts more weight above my core, making it just a little bit more challenging, yet a little bit harder. And you can do that instead of actually holding on to a weight smarter. Now, when you're done with that, I want you to stretch that lower back, put it on traction. Another good substitute for that one is this. So bring it out. You can simply alternate a leg lift and an arm raise, reaching up and down, opposite sides, stabilizing, but still working the back. So one of those is probably going to be just a little bit more comfortable for you. Now, while I have this ball, I'm going to show you something. This one I demonstrated just a few weeks ago for our community, but I'm going to do it again. A lot of people seem to think that if we do it with the ball, it must be better. Not clearly true. So watch. When I was laying on the floor doing a crunch, my back had to be straight in the starting position, and then I came up to curl the spine. But what happens if I'm on a ball? Well, I can open further. Now my back is actually arched, and then I come forward and curl. You're getting actually more range of motion. That is actually worse stress on the back than if you did it on the floor. More range of motion when you do a crunch or a sit-up is worse, not better. So what would be a way to use the ball that is a better exercise? Turn it over. Here's a way to really challenge yourself. So you can bring yourself up into a plank, and you're going to be right here. Push yourself back into your heels, hold it up so you're elevated. That should be a little easier, but it's a mobile surface, right? So you're preventing it from moving, or you can actually add the movement to make it more challenging even yet. This is a great exercise. One more that's a great exercise for you. On the floor, instead of the crunch, for instance, you're on the floor and I want you to create a dead bug. So if you are a dead bug in that position, your arms and your knees are up, okay? We're gonna put the ball between your knees and your arms. So we bring the legs up still in that position. The arms come up and I'm pressing the arms, slight bend of your elbows so you're not locking them, but I'm pushing my knees into the ball and pushing my hands into the ball and your lower back pushing into the floor. You should be able to feel your core is on. If you're breathing, this is a good thing. I'm talking, you know I'm breathing. So if you're not breathing, start with me, count with me, say nice things to me. Exhale right here. That dead bug. So repeating that 10 seconds and release. 10 seconds again and release. Build your way up to 15 seconds, then 20 seconds. And again, your hip flexors are gonna potentially whine from that. So when you're finished with any of those, you wanna make sure that you give yourself a good stretch to open up those hip flexors. So leaning into it this way, if that bothers your knee, you can't be all the way down. You can lift up, you can be in a lunge, just pushing forward through your hips as high or low as you can. And there you have it. Don't do this, do that. If that was helpful, you may love the Flipping 50s Hot Not Bothered Challenge. It is coming up. We actually start day 1 on June 1st, but if you get in now, the sooner you do get in. If you're watching this in May of 2021, you get access to mobility, flexibility videos that are your pre-programmed. I'll put the link down below. It's flipping50.com, all words spelled out, /HNB-challenge for Hot Not Bothered. And I'll see you on the flip side.